This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
20 watts, not 200 watts. YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the Ammit RTA from Geekvape. Now, the Ammit RTA from Geekvape is, for all intents and purposes, sort of a mouth-to-lung style vape. Comes with all the usual trappings that you find from Geekvape. It has a little bit different of a layout than you find with most Geekvape products. Same black and orange sort of packaging, but it's not the same sort of side-by-side packaging that we've seen in the Griffin, the Avocado, and the Tsunami RTAs. Now it's all just sort of a standard sort of sleeve sort of thing going on. Details on the back, Ammit on the sides, Geekvape on the side. Slide the sleeve on off, and inside you've got your RTA, spare tank, and some extras. The Ammit RTA, spare glass tank, pair of standard Clapton coils. Underneath the RTA insert, we've got another panel, and we've got our usual Geekvape tools and O-rings and extra screws and whatnot. 2 Allen keys and the Phillips head. And the coils that are included are these 4, 5, 6, 7 wrap Clapton coils, standard Clapton coils. That's the kind of build that you want to put in something like this. This is a low wattage sort of device. You vape it at low wattage, you vape it with a restrictive sort of draw. It creates flavor by, having that restrictive airflow, having that restrictive kind of chimney. The thing about it is that it's not all that restrictive. For a mouth-to-lung style vape, it's actually pretty airy. It kind of sits in that middle ground. The sort of RTAs that are popular these days are very, very cloudy, and the RTAs that are very restrictive, and you use them as a mouth-to-lung style device. This device kind of sits in that chasm between the two. There are things about it that I like and things about it that I'm not so crazy about. Looking at design-wise, I like it because it reminds me of most of the other tanks from Geekvape, which are very clean looking, work very well, look really cool. The Griffin, for example, I love the look of the Griffin. This has that same sort of look to it, that same sort of style of all their tanks that they come out with. It's got adjustable airflow, juice flow control, standard 510 drip tip, so you can use any drip tip in here, no problem. Top filling, gotta love top fill, always top fill with a tank these days. Just makes life easy, and it's very, very roomy up top. Very easy to drop juice right on in here, no problem whatsoever. The airflow opens up in 1, 2, 3, 4 clicky movements. So you've got 4 options that provide airflow. Wide open, it's basically a straight to lung hit. And it's pretty cloudy in that fashion. When it's wide open like that, you can vape it probably at about 50 watts, even at a 0.8 ohm build. When you tighten it down, so it's on the last option, you really want to turn this thing down a bit. Say about 25 watts or so with a 0.8 ohm build. And with that, it's very much a mouth-to-lung style hit. But for a mouth-to-lung style hit, it's still pretty cloudy. So for the mouth-to-lung style vapor, this might not be the tank for you. This thing's still pretty airy, if you ask me. And for someone that likes a really airy draw, it's not going to be for you either, because it's not super, super airy. And you can't put the most massive of builds in here because the wicking area is kind of small, and the airflow is kind of small for big, massive coils. Also, the deck is kind of small for massive coils. Now, they say that this thing has a Faro-style deck with airflow that comes up from the side of the coil too. It's got plenty of bottom airflow, but it also has these side airflow openings here. They're going to shoot up and hit your coil from the side as well. Sort of a bit of an angle by the look of it. It's interesting what they've done with the juice pockets. You can't actually wick down into this juice intake because it's sort of cut off here. You got this tiny hole for your wick pockets, and you can't wick down in there. I like the attention to detail here with the Geekvape logo at the bottom of the deck. You can't even see this once the bell is back on there. So really it's just for you to see when you're building this thing. That's the only reason it's there. Nice touch. Phillips head screws. Always love me some Phillips head screws. Can't argue there. Definitely some small terminals here. Definitely for a single coil sort of configuration. I don't think you're going to be able to do too much in the way of dual coils here, guys. So this is single coil only here. But ample enough for a single coil. You can probably fit most single coil builds in there. Most of the builds that you'd want to put in this sort of device anyway. Claptons, maybe fused claptons, maybe a micro alien, twisted builds. That's about it. Machining leaves something to be desired, but what more do you want from mass produced in China? It's pretty straight. What it can fit really well are these Clapton coils that came with the device. And they're 7-wrap Clapton coils, and they fit in here beautifully. I don't know why I call it a Pharaoh style neck. It's airflow that comes up from the bottom, and it's got side airflow too. Cool. I'd compare it most to the Merlin. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the original Merlin. That's what this thing vapes like. Merlin's probably a little bit tighter of a draw than this. Kind of reminds me of the Merlin, the way it's set up here. You've got sort of bottom airflow with a single coil sort of configuration from what I see. But that's what I'd compare it to. That's what it's most similar to. If that's the kind of vape that you're into, awesome. It's flavorful, but I feel like it could be more flavorful. I feel like if it had more of a reduction to the chimney, then it could be a little bit better. I feel like if the tank was a little bit shorter, it might provide a more flavorful vape as well. You know, you really want to build particular kinds of coils for this particular device, if you ask me. You want to build coils that aren't going to ohm out at, say, below 0.5 ohms. It's really a tank made for lower wattages. Say 60 watts is what I would push through here. Anyway, till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, Vapers.